I'm a gun-toting patriot, God-fearing patriot. Bryson, why they mad? Cause I'm real and they be faking it. Free speech advocate, it's on my mind, I'm saying it. I'm about to buy another gun and ain't nobody taking it. Gun-toting, Bible reading, God believing, truth speaking American. This MAGA season, Democrats committing treason. I know they think it's sweet, but you don't know who you dealing with. This for free thinkers only. You ain't got no membership. They free General Flynn out the cage, cause he innocent. Barton Roger Stone, cause the run know that he innocent. We need to kick out every single illegal immigrant. Mandatory voter ID laws we need to implement. Tell Justin Smollett that I know this MAGA country. Tell China we know they.
Hello, everybody. Let me know if you can hear me good. If I need to get closer. I see you guys already in the comments. Okay. We got Jay. Hi, Jay. Thrifty Treasure. And Adrian. Yes, all my people are here. Okay, guys. So the debate is about to start. And if there are any ex-Jehovah's Witnesses or whatever, friendly reminder, this is something that we would have never been able to do, let alone together. So I'm really excited to watch this debate. And I'm going to bring up the stream for the debate as well, because it's live, obviously. I got my Red Bull. I got my favorite snack. So let's get into it. Hello, Shaq. I'll keep saying hello to whoever is in the comments, because I think we have to keep like commentary, even though we're streaming the news stuff. So I don't know. I've never done this before. So we'll figure it out. Okay. Hey, it's a nice setup. I'm going to change the background. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. Let's see. Did they just end it? Oh my God, they ended it. Okay, hold on. I need to find another stream. Jeez. Okay, wait. First of all, I'm going to add the stream link to the comments. So if anybody wants to join, you can join with me. And I don't know. I want to ask you guys, who do you think is going to win? Who are you rooting for? Okay, just give me a second, because I'm going to see who the heck is streaming this so that we can watch it at the same time.
Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased.
Okay, I think,
for example, a basket
it?
of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120.
Yeah, I think this is it.
And
okay.
Typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president, what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All these.
Okay, I hope this is it. If anybody
just inject a little
check
bleach
for me.
Be all right.
I don't know.
The economy collapsed. There were no jobs.
Biden doesn't
Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs.
He sounds like he's whispering, right?
In a position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, but there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come of a household where the kitchen table, if the things weren't able to be met.
This is it. Okay, great. Thanks, Shaq.
The price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination, what I was left with in corporate greed, is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where
it's a pandemic and many people died. Duh, that's why it's a pandemic.
He didn't do much at all. By the time he left, there were things were in chaos.
The pandemic.
And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we now We brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is amazing,
Well,
to $15 for a insulin, which is $400.
there's like a little lag.
No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning.
If anybody
year.
wants to join, you can
The
join.
situation is and we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price of around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you, President Trump.
We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID. And when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other
I hope you
things.
can hear the
Everything
stream
was
as
rocking
well.
good.
Good enough
But the
as
thing we never
I
got
do.
the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess.
Honestly,
He
I think
created
it's
mandates
his
that was
fault.
a disaster for our country. But
It's Trump's
other than
fault
that,
the
we
way the
had-
whole
we had given them
COVID
back
was handled. So
a country.
I don't
where
really
the
have. I
stock
don't really want to
market
listen to
actually was
anything he has to
higher
say
than
about that.
pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs, a bounce back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you, President Biden.
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world.
really,
And, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any
Jesus
one term.
Christ, how do they?
He's the only president
close
other than
these
Herbert
damn
Hoover
things?
who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did
Damn.
something that was significant. And the military, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that.
He should
He was
not be
president, we
talking
still
about
found ourselves in a
Afghanistan.
position where
How about the
you had
13 Marines that
notion that
died because of the way
we
they
were a
exited?
safe
And I
country.
don't even know that
Truth
much
is,
about politics,
the
but
only
I know
president
that.
this
You know what I
century
mean? Like,
that
oh
doesn't
my
have
God.
this decade, that done any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can. You
Am I
want
allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up.
He
You
better
want
respond to
impose
that.
a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest rate in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down and then they bounced back. And he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned,
It's just
I was
looking
getting out of
down.
Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump,
Uh-oh. What happened? Stop
new
it.
debt. Well, so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why
my
should
God,
top
the live
earners
stream
and
is, like,
corporations pay even less in
really
taxes
choppy.
than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID
Mhm.
much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more
Oh my
revenue
God.
with much less tax, and companies were bringing back
Hope it's not just
trillions
me
of
that's
dollars back
lagging. Like,
into
what
our
the heck?
country. The country was going like never before. And we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a
Mhm.
lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even
Right.
though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a
I
mandate on the
agree. I
vaccine, which
agree.
is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weapons.
Oh my God. He's going hard
All of
tonight.
the things he's done, we've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country.
Okay, there
And
we
I'd
go.
love to ask him
Now the
and will,
video's
why
there.
he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails,
The
and
feed
mental
would have been fine if
institutions
Biden
to
had a
come into
chance
our
of winning.
country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, he got $2 trillion tax cut, benefited the very wealthy.
I love his mug face.
What I'm going to do is fix the
Trump's
tax
mug
system. For
face. I
example,
love it.
we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%,
Oh
these
my
are one of those
God.
numbers, they'd raise $500 million, billion dollars, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system.
Trump is a
Making sure
Freemason.
that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with.
Look at his face. Look at his face.
Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to
The
death.
whole
and
world
he's
is a
destroying
state.
Medicare
And
because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame.
Look at
What's
Biden's
happened to
face.
our country in the last 4 years is not to
Oh
be
my God,
believed.
these people are
Foreign
funny.
countries, I'm friends with a lot of people. They cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think
Yep.
we're very stupid people.
Yep.
What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Yes.
Thank you, President Trump.
Thank you,
Tana?
Trump. Thank
This
you.
is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it.
No.
And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex, but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody
And I'm
wanted
sorry,
to get
guys.
it back to the
I
states. Everybody,
disagree
without
with
exception.
this
Democrats,
position.
Republicans, liberals,
I think that it should
conservatives.
not be available
Everybody wanted it back.
for
Religious
women
leaders.
to take
And
on
what
their
I
own.
did is I put 3
I'm
great Supreme Court
anti-abortion.
justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, and getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end
I don't
result. It
know.
was a little
I
bit
think
more
it should be
liberal
a
than
state.
you would have thought.
But then again,
Kansas,
I
would say
I
the
am
same
like
thing.
an abolitionist now.
Texas
I
is
believe
different.
that
Florida is
should
different.
abolish it
But they're
all.
all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like
Mhm.
Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because that has
The
to do
Bible
with
says not
other
to follow
things.
your
You gotta get
heart.
elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth.
Right.
After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided, supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the states should be able to have it.
I'm gonna just lower Biden for a little bit, keep him like in the background, because I think that's a really important issue to discuss for a second. I do think that that's a state issue, but since I've been doing a lot of research in like inquiring into Christianity, and I used to be pro-choice, I used to be pro-life, and now I feel like I'm an abolitionist now. I believe that that should be abolished, like completely. Nobody should have the right to end a healthy pregnancy. And this is a hot topic, so I do think that in a future streams, I want to dive deeper into that subject. I know I've spoke to Jay, I've spoke to Adrian in the chat on Discord, because
Thank you.
it's hard. You know what I mean? It's really hard. Oh, Trump is stopping.
To come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. Consider the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping
for
and
real.
killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the
Preach.
abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal
Right in
decision. In many
space,
cases,
yo, I
it's the opposite.
can't.
But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have. Everybody wanted brought back. Ronald
Damn,
Reagan
look at
wanted
this
it brought back.
cluster.
He wasn't able to get it.
I got
Everybody
a
wanted
whole
it brought
nerd
back,
cluster.
and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Constantine was a sun god
Staying on
worshiper
the
like your
topic of
elites.
abortion, President Biden, 7 states. I'll let you do
Oh,
that.
worship Rye.
This is the same topic. 7 states
I
have
gotta look
no
into that.
legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade.
Oh
Three
my
sign-ups.
God.
First time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the
No.
woman and the state. The
Mm-mm.
idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last.
Mm-mm.
No politician should be making that decision.
Wrong.
A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how
No.
it should be run.
No.
That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
What? Oh, hell
You
no.
can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run,
Mhm.
take it after birth. Again, the
Right.
former governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So
No.
he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
Mhm.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance.
But that's what's been
When a
happening. What are
woman's
you
life is
talking
in danger,
about?
she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen.
No.
But we are not for late-term abortion, period. period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You
Exactly.
can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was a law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship.
It
said
wasn't
was
a
the right way to
law,
go.
right?
51 years, and it was
Let me
taken
know in
away
the chat.
because
Roe
this
v.
guy
Wade was not a
was
law,
very
right?
conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? In fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board at 6 weeks or 7 or
You
8
give
or
it
10
back to
weeks.
the
Something
states.
very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden, a record number
You see,
of
Trump was gonna
migrants
say
have
something. We didn't
illegally crossed
hear
the
that.
southern border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as
No
New York
live
and
audience,
Chicago, and in some cases
2-minute
causing
lag.
real safety and security
Absolutely not.
concerns. Given that, why
I
should
don't like
voters
this.
trust
I already
you
came into
to
this
solve
knowing that
crisis?
this was going to be like a
Because we worked
sham.
very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. Significantly, by the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in
Please,
cages,
not this
making sure
again.
the
Please.
families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that
No,
now
I'm going to lower
you're in
him.
a
No, I
situation
can't take
where
it. Sorry, no, I can't take it.
40% fewer people
The whole
coming
reason
across
why the
border
separation was
legally,
happening between the children and the
adults.
parents is
Not
because
really.
we don't know if those are their real parents.
Total ban.
And I'm all for
Um,
DNA
and
tests and
these
stuff
are-
like that,
these are
but
total
you need to have a
initiatives
process.
relative to what we've been
But
doing
you came over
for
here
Border
illegally
Patrol,
anyways,
for
so you
asylum.
shouldn't be
President Trump?
I really don't know.
Asking
what he
for
said at the end of
things.
that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He
Exactly.
decided to open up
And
our
finish the
border, open
wall.
up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest
Look
number
at
of
Biden's
terrorists coming
face.
into our country right now. All terrorists, all over
What
the world, not
staring
just
at the
in South
floor?
America, all over the world. They
He's
come
like listening
from the Middle East,
intently. Lou's
everywhere.
staring at the
all over
floor.
the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just
There you
left
go.
it open.
Finally, like,
And
look
he
at the
didn't need
guy.
legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who
We
endorsed me
do.
for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people
Doesn't the
that are
Bible
coming
say
up.
treat the
Thank you,
foreigner
President Trump.
as a native
President
born?
Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything across
Show me the
border
scripture.
is one who came along and killed 3. I know his administration.
I don't know.
Kill.
But reveal the
Al-Qaeda
scripture.
Person come in
Show it
his
to me.
administration, kill 3 American soldiers. Kill 3 American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people. That's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating. He's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American
Yes.
history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose
Yes.
spouses are citizens, and
Yes.
including those who have lived here for decades? And if
Yes.
so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying and
Yes.
also killing our citizens when they come in.
All right, come on,
We-
Trump.
we are
Answer the
living
question.
right
Please
now in
say
a
yes.
rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California,
Yes.
in every state in the union because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border.
Yo,
And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very
Trump is
stupid
cooking right
policies,
now.
people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at
Mhm.
a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime.
Hmm.
I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're
Build a
reading it
wall.
like these 3 incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and he just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old.
Yep.
This is
Jocelyn,
horrible
the
what's taken
12-year-old.
place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now.
I'm leaving that
He
comment
doesn't
up.
want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast because they're going to destroy our
I
country.
got the link
Just
in the
take a look
chat
at
if
where they're
anybody
living.
wants to join.
They're living in
me.
luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all.
Mhm.
And he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice.
Where
that I
does the
got through
Bible allow
Congress,
for the foreigner
all
to
of the
commit
different
crimes
things
when
I
they get in
approved.
here?
They abandoned. We had by
Yes.
far the highest, and now it's down in less than half.
And not just the
because of all
foreigner,
these great
we're
things that
talking
we
about
did.
illegal
And I think they did it
immigration.
just
Okay,
because I
that's
approved it,
completely
which is
different
crazy.
than a foreigner
But
coming
he's
here
killed so many
legally.
people at our border by
Thank you,
allowing
President Trump.
all of these people to come in. And
President
it's a very
Biden,
sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example,
And that's the
veterans
only
are a hell of a
comeback
lot
that you
better off
have
since
is
they've
that everything that
passed the
he's saying is
PACT
a lie. I'm
1
sorry, that's not
million
good
of
enough for
them
me.
now have insurance and their families have it.
It should be
Their
easier
families
for
have it
people to
because
come into
what
the
happened,
country legally,
whether it
but
was
now
Agent
too many
Orange or
people are here.
burn pits,
Yeah, it's
they're
like
all being
they're
covered
breaking
now.
the system
And he
because
opposed,
we
his
cannot.
group
The
opposed that.
city
They're
cannot.
also in
Well,
a
New York
situation where
City, one
they
of
have
the
great
sanctuary
respect for
cities,
veterans.
they
My
can't
my
even
son spent a year in
contain the
Iraq,
problem.
living
They
right
have to
next to one of those burn
defund.
pits, came back
Okay,
with
hold on. Let me just
stage
lower
4
this a little bit
glioblastoma.
so I'm not like screaming. Whoops.
And,
The city has to defund from other things. Like that's actually the law there. They have to defund from other things so that they can fund the migrant crisis. So they have to take money away from the police, from the fire departments, first responders, everything else that the city has to take care of, just so that they can fund the migrants. And if you ever have seen the news from over there, it's bad. There's violence. 2 cops just got shot in New York.
19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say
I think
I'm
it
at
was
a
New York.
cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up and he brought it up. There's nobody that's
Look at his
taken better
face.
care of our soldiers
Look
than
at
I have.
Biden's face.
To think that I would, in front of generals and
That's
others,
definitely
say,
going to be a meme.
"Suckers
Like,
and losers." We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just
mhm.
like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation.
Mm.
He made up the suckers and
Biden says he
losers,
has
so
the
he
support of
should
the Border
apologize
Patrol,
to me
but
right
the
now.
BP union has
Four-star
only been
General
openly
Sanders
critical
Shire
of his
was on your
administration.
staff who said you said it.
Good
period.
point.
That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history.
What?
American history. And then
Is he
now
getting
their family.
mad?
The only sacred obligation we have as a country.
Did you
is
see the
to care
tone
for
of
our
voice?
veterans
He was
when they
like,
come
"That
home,
I have to say
their
apart to
families, and
you."
equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right. Thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its
Oh
third
God,
year.
here we go.
Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says
I already
he'll
have a
only
migraine.
end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander in chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information.
Look at his
As far as
smile.
Russia and Ukraine,
He's
if we
giggling.
had a real president, a president that knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine.
I honestly
A lot
believe
of
that.
people are dead
I
right
honestly
now,
believe
much more
Trump
than
when he
people
says
know.
that.
You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell
Mhm.
you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible, most
Exactly.
embarrassing moment in the history of our country that when
Ah,
Putin watched
so
that
glad
and
he
saw the
mentioned it.
incompetence that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned, and so he's got no love lost. But he should have fired those generals. No
Ooh,
general
ooh.
got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything, no money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
True.
President Biden?
Facts.
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president, they attacked. He said they're just having headaches.
The
That's all it
walls
is.
need to
He
be
didn't do a thing
19
when they attacked that place, number one.
1,954 miles
Number
long,
two,
80 feet,
we got over
80 feet thick,
100,000 Americans
320 feet high.
of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three,
And if it can
found
be
ourselves in a
like if
situation
it could
where
be,
if you
how do
take a
you
look
call
at
it?
what
Like those
Trump
live
did in
fences
Ukraine,
that if you touch it, you get like
this
electrocuted or
guy told
something.
Ukraine, he told
That's a
Trump,
good
do
idea.
whatever you want, and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. Listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I
if I
never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the
No, they're
territory
not
in Ukraine.
acceptable. No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's
Exactly.
given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given
Look at
$200
Biden's face.
billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think
This is
there's
like
ever
the
been
fifth
anything like it.
time
Every time
he has
that
a hilarious face
Zelensky
on. Like,
comes
look
to
at
this
his
country, he
face.
walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it
I
settled.
agree
and I'll
with like
get it settled
90%
fast
of
before I
what Trump
take
is saying.
office.
The only thing I don't disagree with
no,
was
no.
about
You
the
have a
abortion
minute.
issue.
The
But
fact
everything
is
else,
that
I'm like
Putin's
on
a war
board.
criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He
Oh
wants
my God,
all
here
of
we go.
Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? You think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all that money we give Ukraine.
I don't know. I don't agree with anything foreign when it comes to wars and stuff like that. I mean, you could let me know in the chat how you feel. I don't think that money should have ever been sent over there.
For Ukraine as we have.
I don't think that we should be getting involved into Russia's
Thank you. Moving on
problems
to
or
the Middle East.
whatever.
In October,
Like at this
Hamas
point, abolish
attacked
NATO.
Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President
Another
Biden,
thing, another
You've
problem.
put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza.
I'm an
So
isolationist.
what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas
I'm
and
America
Israel
first.
to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council
Ooh, ooh, ooh,
straight
ooh.
through to the G7, to the
Got a little
Israelis,
stutter.
Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward. Endorsed the plan I put forward, which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire.
Russia's not the problem, Mr.
Second
M.
phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third
Let me
phase
know
is
what you think it is.
the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas. Number one, they're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened in Israel? We're finding that the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way,
Nope,
I'm
I
the
am
guy that
sorry. I am
organized the world against them.
anti-Israel. I don't think we should be supporting Israel in any way when it comes to this, especially they're literally killing lots of innocent people. So I'm sorry, I'm not with the Russia stuff and I'm not with this Israel stuff. We need to get them out of here, honestly.
And so they're 2 different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence.
I'm happy to see at least this
how they
debate
make
is a
Hamas
little
think
more
bin Laden.
civilized than
We
their
don't
first
have to
debate
do
in
it.
2020.
And by the way, they've been greatly weakened.
The other
by
one
this.
was
Greatly
way more
weakened, and they
fun,
should be.
especially
They should
the
be eliminated.
2016 debate
But
with
you've
him and
got to be
Hillary
careful
was
for
the
what
best
you use
debate that I have
certain
ever seen in my
weapons
life.
among
Okay, we
populations
need
that-
a little bit less civilized
Turn
debates.
back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent 100 billion or maybe more than that, less than us.
Biden's brain medicine is
Why
starting
doesn't
to
he
wear
call
off.
them? So you got to put up your money like I did with NATO. I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of
Yo,
the
it's
money
like Biden
was
actually
paid
hates
by
this
us.
guy, like literally hates
He
him.
didn't do that.
Like, look at
He's
all of
getting
his
all-
facial
you gotta
expressions,
ask
like
these
so
people
like
to put up the money.
disgusted,
We're over
right? Like
$100
I've never
billion more
I don't
spent,
know.
and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one.
Russia
And you
killed
should let him
corruption.
go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they
Ooh.
don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. You're going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have
I love when he
our
pops
strength
his
lies
lips
in our
like that.
alliances as
It's
well.
hilarious.
There may be a big ocean, but we're ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe? What happens if, in fact, you have Putin continue to go into
Nazi
NATO?
corruption.
You have an Article
Yeah.
5
In
agreement.
Ukraine.
Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear
And
war, you keep
honestly, if
talking
anybody
about
can
it,
let
go
me know
ahead.
what is the true
Let Putin
purpose
go
of
in and
NATO, like
control
honestly, what is
Ukraine
NATO
and
supposed to
then
be for? Like
move on to
I know the
Poland and other
basics
places.
about it, and I know
See
like
what
there's a
happens then.
group of
He
countries
has
that are
no
in it,
idea
and we're
what the hell
supposed to
he's
be like
talking about.
allies or
And
whatever.
by the way, I got 50 other nations
But
around
like,
the world
yeah,
to
at this
support
point, I'm
Ukraine,
like,
including
abolish
Japan
NATO.
and South
America
Korea,
first
because
means
they
putting
understand
American
that this
interests
is
first
this
above
kind of
all
dislocation
others,
has a
like
serious threat
quite
to the whole
literally
world peace.
above everybody else.
No
We should be
major
putting
war in Europe
our
has ever
American
been anything but
interests first,
contagious to Europe.
not be sending money to
President Trump,
these
just to
countries.
follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see. But before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, no, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this. I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question. Would
There you go.
guard us
And I didn't
against
even know
Russia?
anything about
At a
that
very
until
secret meeting
Trump
of the
became
28,
president and was telling the
states
truth
at
about
that
these
time,
things.
nations at
Like
that
he
time.
was
And they said, no, if
educating
you don't
the
pay,
American
I
public.
won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's
you.
bills.
Let's turn to the issue of
Thank you.
democracy. Former President Trump I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that day,
Oh my
some of
God.
them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of
January.
electoral
Oh,
votes.
I don't even
As
know if I should
president, you
just give my
swore an
opinion
oath
about
to,
January
quote,
6th,
preserve,
but
protect, and defend,
I feel like
unquote,
that
the
was such
Constitution.
a
What do you say to voters
such
who
a
believe that you
waste.
violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected.
Okay, he's kind of
And
just
then he
repeating
comes
himself.
in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. What
January 6th
happened
was
to the
staged.
United States
Yeah, I believe that.
reputation under this man's leadership is
You can let me know
horrible,
your opinions in the
including
comments if
weaponization,
anybody
which I'm
wants
sure at
to,
some point you'll be
share
talking about,
them. But
where he goes after
I
his
feel the same
political
way.
opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
And I can't
You
believe
have
Jimmy
80
Bell was
seconds
actually
left. My
there in
question
real
was,
life.
what do you
Like,
say to
what?
those voters
He's a
who believe that
legend.
you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and
Don't get me
inaction
started
on
on
January
January
6,
6th. I will
2021
say this
and worry
more
that you'll do it again?
happened than
Well, I
what
didn't
is
say that
reported
to
in the news.
anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy
Yeah.
Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this.
Yeah.
Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor of
A lot
in
of people that
writing,
I
by the
follow
way,
on
the
Twitter
mayor
were there, like a
in
lot
writing
of
turned it down, the mayor
influencers.
of
And I
DC.
just felt
They
like
turned it down. I offered 10,000 because
they were like
I
baiting
could
them. You know what I
see.
mean? Like,
I
I
had
don't know. I don't
virtually nothing to do.
trust
They asked
nothing
me
that
to
I
go
see on
make a
TV.
speech.
So
I
I'm
could see
just
what was
like,
happening.
it was
Everybody
just
was saying they're going to
unfortunate, the
be
whole
there on
thing. But
January 6th. They're going to be
for
there.
January
And I
6th
said,
to
you
be
know
worse
what?
than
A lot
9/11,
of people
absolutely
coming. We
not.
could
Like,
feel it.
that's
You could
too
feel
far
it
from
too,
me.
and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her, and she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was,
Exactly.
I
See,
don't know,
that's a
she can't be
fact.
very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one. I
False.
sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these
Nancy
people
will
being
probably be
patriots
reelected by about
and great
75%
patrons
of the
of
vote,
America.
which
In
is
fact,
sad.
he
You know,
says he'll not
she's way
forgive
too
them for
old.
what
Like,
they've done.
what is up with all these old
They've been
people?
convicted.
Damn.
He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. He went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court, and they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what
No.
was done. He did do a
Mm-mm.
damn thing, and these
Mm-mm.
people should be in jail, and they should be in
I
being
disagree.
held
I
accountable. And
disagree.
he wants to let them all out, and now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that there could be a bloodbath.
Wow.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people.
Wow.
When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities.
Staged
You go
by
to Minnesota,
Lucifer and blood
Minneapolis,
child
what
suckers.
they've
Oh
done
my
there
God.
with
Yeah.
the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that. They saw them coming and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully.
I'm just gonna say
discuss
one
other
thing. So hold on, let me just lower this a little bit. The whole thing with January 6th, the only thing that I was upset about is that Pence should have done something, and I feel like it is their fault. They should have done a recount. They should have stopped, this whole process of, turning power over to the next guy, because obviously there was a lot of irregularities. So January 6th to me feels like a legitimate, protest, and Pence should have used his power to do that as vice president, and he didn't. So I feel like it's their fault.
What he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in
Oh no.
Capitol Hill, and all those people,
Okay,
every one of
thank
those
God.
who were convicted, turned over desks, turn them over statues. The idea
Pizzagate,
that
true.
those people are
Oh my
patriots.
God, do not go down that
Come
rabbit
on.
hole.
When I asked him the first two
The
debates we had,
anarchists
the debates we
only
had first
openly
time around,
endorse
I
Kamala
said, "Will you
Harris.
denounce the Proud Boys?"
Anarchists,
He
anarchists.
said, "No, I'll tell them to
Yeah.
stand by." The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys? Will you
All a
denounce the
stage
people
play.
who
They
talk
are
about
all
that?
drinking
Will you
buddies.
denounce the people who attack that Capitol?
I
What are you
get
gonna
that.
do?
I get that. But I honestly don't think
I'm
that
going to
Trump
give
is
you
in that
a
club.
minute,
And that's why they
President
hate him so
Trump, for a
much.
follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the select committee on January 6th going
It's
to
true.
jail. Your main
Because that's what they're
political
doing to
opponent is
him. So
sitting
they're
on
setting
stage
that
with you tonight.
precedence.
Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again because
Yes.
right now it's a failing nation.
Yes.
My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a
Yes.
convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before.
Rhinos
but his
and
Justice Department
dinos.
let the statute of limitations lapse on the most
Rabbit hole
important
of
thing.
Freemason cult
But he
coming
could be a
true.
convicted felon as soon as he
Trump
gets out of
part of the
office. Joe
play.
could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's
Mhm.
done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people.
You see, this
that
is
we're
why
gonna want $1
Trump
billion
should have
of your
done
chickens
that the first time when he told Hillary, oh, because you'll be in jail. He should have went after them back then. And I think he was playing nice. And now that he learned his lesson, he got burned by these snakes in the swamp. That's why he's saying this now. But he should have done that long time ago.
did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have
Yes.
said, I'm coming right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No
And
president
what is
in our
he
history has spoken
doing?
like that before.
And
Number
what is
three,
his administration
the
doing to
crimes that you
Trump
are
with all
still
of
charged
these
with. And think of all the civil penalties you have.
court
How many
cases that they're
billions
doing?
of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole
What?
range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean,
Oh,
what are you talking about?
oh,
You have the morals of an alley cat.
oh.
Give you a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved.
What?
They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats.
Oh my God, I can't
appointed
even believe
people,
you just brought
and
that up.
both the
Damn.
civil
Threw the dirty
and the
laundry out
criminal.
there.
He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me.
Yes.
But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out
likes
about
porn
these
stars.
cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up way up. You know
Biden
that
likes
because you're
everything.
reporting it. And
Yeah,
we
he
took
should
in
say
more
that,
money in
right?
the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of issues he has to
Biden
face.
is not looking
I
at the
don't know what
camera for
jury's gonna
most of the
do,
debate.
but I do
Uh-huh.
know he has a real
That's what I
power.
say. He's looking at the
And so
floor.
the
He's
fact
not
that-
looking at Trump in the
Did
face
you
when
ever
they
think
when
you
he
heard any
talks.
president say
A little weird.
that I'm going to seek retribution? You ever
Talk
hear
about
any
your hairy
president
legs,
say
Joe.
that, I thought Hitler had some good ideas. What got
Epstein
me
mates.
involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches. And
Oh my
and singing the
God,
same
come
old song
on.
choir they sang when back in Germany. And, and the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother.
Okay.
And they
Whatever.
asked him, they said, what do you think of those people? the ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop it, and the ones he said, I think they're fine
This is just
people. on both
old. You know what I
sides."
mean? Like that's so
What
2020.
American president
Like, come
would ever
on.
say Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas?
Oh
We're
my
fine people.
God,
This is
bro.
the guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. The good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said 100%
Confusion
exoneration
again.
on
Look
that.
at
So
his
he just
face.
keeps it going. He says he ran because of
Huh?
Charlottesville. He didn't
Huh?
run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question the worst president, the worst presidency
you,
in the history
Trump,
of our
for
country. We shouldn't
coming
be
back
having
on
a
topic.
debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every anchor every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day, it came out where it was fully debunked.
What is he
It's
looking
a
at?
nonsense
Look at
story.
Biden, like,
He
he's
knows
totally
that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that
that
as an
way.
excuse to run.
President Biden.
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that
What?
somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea that he's talking about all this being fabricated.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why is he facing this way and talking this way when Trump is obviously this way? Because he looks this way to look at Trump.
Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 40
And there's no audience.
cabinet officers
So what he's looking at.
refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why?
Because Mike, I mean, because Pence West. That's why.
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential
Oh God.
debate.
Okay. All right. This is actually good. We can use this little commercial break to give our opinions. I don't know. What do you guys think so far? Who's winning? Basic public speaking 101. Fix the camera. Hey, right? Whatchamacallit? That's what being a Jehovah's Witness kind of gave us some skills, huh? Because we know how to be good speakers, right? At the podium, how to give eye contact to your audience, how to pause, pronunciation, how to use your hands when you're talking. If you guys have ever been in the theocratic, the B school, you'll know, right? Did they shake hands prior? Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna have to do a rewind. I'm gonna put the link in the chat again. If anybody wants to come on and give their 2 cents, please come up here and let me know your thoughts. Outline and use of notes. Yes, exactly, right? Yeah, I mean, this is the first time that I'm actually doing this with you guys and publicly. I've only watched like the 2020 debates, 2016 debates, and that's about it. So this is like my third or fourth debate that I'm watching. So I'm still a baby. I'm still a political baby. You know what I mean? Like I don't really have solid, arguments, but I'm just saying like I agree more with Trump than I do with Biden. You know what I mean? So who do you think is winning so far? Or who would you be voting for? I think that's an even more interesting question. If you feel comfortable enough to let me know in the comments. I want to know. I'll just speak for myself. I think I'm going to be voting for Trump, even though it sucks. I wish we had a better option. But then I also feel like Trump is doing this because he lost in 2020. Like I feel like he needs to get back I do feel like it was stolen from him, honestly. I do feel like that was a sham. It was wrong. So, you know, it just sucks. Okay, I'm just making sure that this thing is still on. I think we only have like a few more minutes left, hopefully, because I have such a migraine. This is like the end of the month and it's hurricane season, so it rains almost every single day. And I get migraines because of the weather. Adrian is voting for Trump. Yes. Awesome. I voted for him in 2020 and I was devastated when everything was happening. I think they had like the Mega Million March and then J6. Oh, did they come back? If you know the name, they are in the game. Thanks for hosting. Yeah, I know this is kind of fun, right? Like, I never thought I would be watching a debate with other XJWs. Like, what?
You both faced in your first terms, and you'd certainly face again in a second term.
Okay.
President
How do we
Biden,
bring this back?
While Black unemployment dropped
Okay.
to a record low under your presidency, Black families still earn far less than white families. Black mothers are still 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes. And Black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to Black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
They acknowledge they made a lot of progress, number one. The fact of the matter is there's more small Black businesses that have been started than any time in history. Number two, the wages of Black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time. Number three, we're trying to provide housing for Black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among.
I was working with Rick Amato at 1070 KCBQ in 2010. I had some solid options. At the time, I'd have to catch up to our current date. I'm going to have to look all that up.
Choice that Black families have to make relative to childcare is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce Black childcare costs. I cut them in half. We got to make sure we provide for childcare.
And how about the HBCU funding that he took away after Trump gave it?
Economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done. But we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know it.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to Black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed.
Opinions. Oh, okay. I meant to say. Oh, okay. So you had some solid opinions being stated at the time. Oh, okay. Conservative talk show hosts. Oh, nice. Very nice.
Make sure that we're in a situation where all those Black families and those Black individuals who provided had to take out student loans
get Trump's face.
that were ballooning, that if they were engaged in nursing, doctor, and anything having
second time he stutters.
Their bills for 10 years and their student debt, all the rest was forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that, and we're going to do a whole lot more.
So many words to say nothing. Like,
thank you, President Trump.
And he caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right. It's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing Black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody.
It's killing me, Trump. It's killing me.
Anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore.
$20 for a pack of chicken wings, bro, in Florida. A pack of chicken wings is $20.
So good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the Black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking Black jobs now.
Yes, they are.
18, it could be 19 and even 20 million people. They're taking Black jobs and they're taking Hispanic jobs.
Even too expensive to shop in Goodwill.
But you'll see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you. President Biden?
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 15% unemployment. He decimated the economy. absolutely decimated the economy. That's
How
why
does
there
that
was no
even make
inflation
sense?
at the time. There were no jobs. It provided thousands of millions of jobs for individuals who were involved.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't get that last part.
We made
Because the
sure that they had
economy
health
was
insurance.
dead flat.
We have
That's why there was no
covered,
inflation.
the
Was
ACA has
I don't know.
I made sure that there $8,000 per person in a family to get written off for health care. But this guy wants to eliminate that. They tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again, and they're going to try again if they win. We find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing any, we put more police on the street than any administration has. He wants to cut the cops. We're providing for
Where, Biden? Where did they add all these new cops?
to make it? There's a lot going on.
And that's such a
And
lie. What is he
inflation,
talking about
he
that Trump
caused
wants
it
to cut
by
that?
his tremendous malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in
I
recorded
hate
history
these
in
questions
communities
already so
across
far.
the
Climate
country are
change
confronting
and
the devastating effects of
J6 type
extreme
of
heat,
questions.
intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's
I had to
climate
smoke before I did
initiatives,
this
but will you
so
take
I can be
any
calm.
action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Well, let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. What
Exactly.
he's done to the black
Especially New
population
York
is
City. Did
horrible,
you see
including the
him
fact that
bringing
for 10 years he
pizza
called them
to the
super predators.
firefighters
We
and the
can't
cops over there?
deny
They
that. We can't
love
forget that.
Trump.
Super predators was his name.
All
And
New
he called it to
Yorkers
them, and they've
love
taken
Trump.
great offense at it. And now they
Like,
see
I
it
grew up
happening.
with this guy,
But when
you
they
know?
see what I did for criminal justice reform and for the historically black colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones
Exactly.
with
He
Tim,
was
as
the
you
one
know,
who
Tim
gave the
Scott was
HBCUs the
incredible.
funding,
He
and
did a
then
great
Biden took it
job.
off.
Great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country, opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks. And that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever, the best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for black people. He's also done
Because
a
he's
horrible job
pandering
for
to them instead of
Hispanics.
actually
But when
doing
you
things
see
to
these
actually
millions
help
of
them
people
in their
pouring into our
communities.
country, and they're going to take the jobs, and it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
You 38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air. And we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever. And we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4 years,
He's
I had
staring into the
best
distance and staring at the
environmental
floor.
numbers ever.
Why doesn't he just
And my
look
top
at him while he's
environmental people
talking?
gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage.
Or at least stay
yesterday.
straight. Like, keep your face straight.
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea that anything he said is true. I've passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history. We find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges. I came up with $15 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges, because they don't have those. They don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. He doesn't have the
I
money.
think
to
Trump
offer
brought
them
it
to
up,
get those
and
jobs
Maxine
in
Waters
high
was
tech.
giving the
We're in a
stink
situation where
face
the idea that
in the House
he
chamber.
is claiming
Ah.
to have done something that had the cleanest water. He hadn't done a damn thing for the environment. He pulled out of the Paris Peace Accord, Climate Accord. I immediately joined it because if we reach 1.5 degrees Celsius at any one point, there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change. And he didn't do a damn thing about it. He wants to undo all that I've done.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a ripoff of the United States. And I ended it because I didn't want to waste that money. Because they treat us
Exactly.
horribly.
Thank
We were the
you.
only ones who were
Thank
supposed to
you.
waste
I
money.
agree with
Nobody else
that.
was paying into it, and it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our
There
medical
goes
programs
Biden.
because the migrants coming in, they want
He's
everybody.
facing.
And look, I have the biggest heart in the
There we
street, I
go.
guarantee
Thank you,
that.
Biden. Look
And
this
I want
way.
to take care of people, but we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
Thank you. Those are legit questions, right?
The idea
That's what they
is
should be
that
talking about.
we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything if we're not able to? The United States can't get its under control. One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps where thousands of young people will learn how to deal with climate, just like the Peace Corps. And we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change the elements of cause of pollution. But the idea that he claims that he has the biggest heart up here and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
So every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making
You'll
under
abolish Social
$120,000
Security at this
6%
point.
of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck from the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're going to, I've been proposing that everybody, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
When
So you still
has
have 82
trickled
seconds left.
down economics ever worked? Can anybody let me know in the comments? Because that's basically what he's saying.
Well, no, that one enough.
Has that
to
ever
solve it,
worked?
but the biggest thing I'll do if we defeat this man, because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare.
I think he was taking credit for the
the
vaccine coming out
program
early.
by
I think.
the House Republican caucus that I believe supports is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, the American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the ACA, as I said, you're in a circumstance where 400,000 people, 40 million people would not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA. And by the way, the other thing is we're in a situation where I talk about education for Black communities.
Yeah, I think that was Operation Warp Speed. Shaq said in another chat. That's the only thing that I do disagree with is the whole vaccine stuff. He should have never, promoted it. I think so many people have died from the injury, vaccine injury. So those are the only two things I don't like about Trump. It was the vaccine and the abortion.
I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He could look you in the face. About so many other things too.
Hi,
We mentioned the
Jennifer.
laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing. And It's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden?
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where all these millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world, the reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession and inflation is going to increase and go up.
Please take care of the veterans. Yes, I totally agree, Jennifer. Yeah, if you've been watching this debate or if you already know who you think you're going to be voting for, let us know in the comments. I'm interested.
To afford President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of childcare in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child. For many families, the cost of childcare for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make childcare more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is, he doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put him there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him.
Jennifer says, just popping in, my husband is watching. We are a military house. Wow. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that service. And I'm trying to get into the hang of this, you know, like I think that this is more important than we think it is. I think we should be getting more involved with these debates and with just politics in general. And that's why I am discussing these things. And that's why I created this XJW Political Corner, that at least once a week we can talk about certain things that America is going through. And this is like the first time that I'm watching a debate and actually giving opinions and stuff like that. So I'm so glad that you guys are doing this with me and spending time with me and letting me know your thoughts in the comments. But yeah, I think this is good. You know what I mean? Like it's new. You know what I mean? Like we've never done this. So this is new.
He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance.
Exactly.
Coming out of this.
I think that these elections are the most important ones.
That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
Yes, agreed.
We're the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We have the finest military in the history of the world, the finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody, number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up or go online. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history. One through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted.
I love Trump's face right now.
Doing anything to deal with child care. He did for virtually nothing to child care. We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work. And we should encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make childcare more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
Just so you understand, we have polling, we have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you, I will show you. And they rate me one of the best. Okay?
He's talking over.
Another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about, he's increased the tariff, he will increase the taxes on middle-class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming in the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more, because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that we're importing. Number two, he's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised, he's somehow helped the middle class. Middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You have the
By
largest
him
deficit
or
of
by
any president
COVID?
in American history, number one. Number two,
I don't know. I'm going to
we
have to look that
not,
up.
in fact, made any contact, any progress with China. We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you,
were at the
President Biden.
highest. You lost
Thank you, President
$160.
Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But do you notice he never took out my tariffs, because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't, because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough. And it was the drugs pouring across the border it started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot. And we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low, because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him, because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden.
That is I think our number one issue here is that border, and that's where the drugs are coming through, and human trafficking. Did anybody see Sound of Freedom? If you saw that movie, I suggest you watch it, and do not watch it without preparing yourself first, okay? And don't watch it with any children. Like, it is for mature audiences only, because that is literally what's going on. That's the epidemic. Human trafficking and drugs because of the border.
Republican colleagues said, don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically. No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl, and Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now, struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, because this does pertain to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage, we always pay $6 billion for a
Yo,
every 10
Trump
years
is
there's a
preaching
hostage.
once again. Did anybody see those elections in Mexico? Does anybody realize how much like the gang affiliation is with that government? I'm sorry, but I don't trust Mexico with anything. I don't think that we should be working with them until something changes. Something drastically changes.
As soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago. But Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where we paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially.
That's the movie my manager mentioned.
Let's turn to concerns that voters
Sound of
have
Freedom,
about each of you.
trafficking, drugs, etc. Yeah, I saw that movie and I did not know it was going to be that bad, and I was traumatized for like days. So that's why I mentioned it, because I'm like, that movie and the whole fact that Trump saw it with them in the premiere and everything, and he was like made aware of that. Oh, it was just so powerful, and I love that. The border is a big issue. It's a national security threat, and nothing has been done because Joe. Yep. I agree, Jennifer. I think it's a travesty.
Horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people.
Do you think that there should be an age limit? You know, because you got to be above, is it 25 or 35 to actually run for president? I think it's 35. I don't know. But I think that there should be a limit, like 80 something years old is way too old.
I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call them, to build these chips.
They're
Those
not
fabs
sending their
pay
best.
$100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden,
Yeah, you got to be
40
like
seconds
over
left.
35.
Is
I
that
believe that as well.
Yeah, I would.
The cap
idea
should be
that
like
somehow
80. No, it should be
we
like
are,
70,
this
70
failing
something.
country. Never heard
After
anybody
Trump.
talk
After
like
Trump.
this.
Because I want Trump.
At the end of the world, name me a single major country president who wouldn't trade places with the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us, all of our allies and those who he calls up to.
We're a country
Kim
that
Jong
keeps
Il
our
received
word.
love letters to, of
Sorry, I
Putin,
disagree
etc.
with that
They
one.
don't want to screw around with this.
Thank you. Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year.
He's
And,
giggling.
We knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was.
Take the
years
test,
ago. I feel very
Biden.
good.
Yeah,
I
that
feel the
would be
same.
so
But
much fun,
I was
right?
willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced them. Dr. Ronnie
That should be a
Jackson, who's
mandatory thing running
great
for any
guy when he
public
was White House
office.
doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one.
Yeah,
And one of them said
definitely.
they'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 35 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what you're. Anyway, just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be
What is
happy
he
to have a
doing?
driving contest.
Is he fat
So, you know,
shaming?
I got my handicap
Why is he talking about his
vice
his
president
body?
down to a
Is he body
6.
shaming?
And but by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was at 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I had, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay,
let's
you know,
not
you know how
act
many
like
rounds
children.
I've
President
done?
Trump, we're going to
21
turn
Let's
rounds.
not act like children.
You
to
are
a
a child.
specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge
He did
tonight
not.
that once all legal challenges have been exhausted,
That was so
that
unnecessary.
you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to. And I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol. and in
Biden's
many
face. Look at
cases were
Biden's
ushered in
face.
by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president.
I
would
totally
rather
agree
have
with that.
I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. The only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad.
I'm the
His
same way
military
at Trump,
policies
but the
are
difference is I'm about 5'9".
insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman. and he's
Agreed.
gonna drive us into World War III.
Agreed.
You want a World War III? Let him follow and win, and let Putin say, "Do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want." There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is attack on all, a required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful people. It's because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because of our own safety as a state.
Okay, I just looked
again,
up what
You want to have a war.
Article
just let
5
Putin
is
go
really
ahead and
quickly.
take
I'm going to
Kyiv,
put it in the
make
chat.
sure they move on.
I mean, this
See
is the
what happens
purpose
with Poland,
why I do
Hungary,
this,
and other
because
places
we need
along
to
that
educate
border.
ourselves.
Then you have a war.
President Trump,
Defense.
as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never
Agreed.
started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this with?
Think about of all of those lives that could have been saved. You know, all those young men who have died in Ukraine and in Russia too. Have you seen those videos of them dragging those guys and throwing them on the front lines? How many families have lost their father, their brother, their uncle, all of that? All because of this. And I truly believe that if Donald was the president right now, that would have never happened. And you see this whole Article 5 thing about NATO. That's what I don't like, honestly. To be honest, I think we should not even have that.
Election? Absolutely.
We shouldn't be involved in anything that has to do with literally anything on that side of the world. I think that we should just be like America first, American interests first. We should not be getting involved in those problems. I think we can help, like help, but I don't think that that should be like the rule. Like if something happens, we have to jump in.
Running again. I wasn't
What?
really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else in a nice location someplace.
Yeah.
And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way
The
he thinks he
civilians
can
as
win.
well.
But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner.
They're
You lost
already
the
through the
first time.
roof. What is he
You
talking about? He
continue
should be
to
worried about his
continue
own
to go
numbers.
upwards all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you don't
Okay.
accept anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you.
Come
when you
on.
lost the last time.
We'll be right back with more.
Oh my
of the
God.
CNN presidential debate.
One more
live
leg.
from Georgia.
Sheesh. Okay. Lord have mercy. Ugh, this is long as hell. Damn. All right. Well, let me know what you think so far. Who are you planning on voting for? If there's only any new people watching right now, I provide the link if you want to hop on, give a few thoughts, discuss. Even if you want to just share your voice, you can definitely do that. Biden would do better to speak about issues and not call names. Yeah, definitely. And they could have saved so much time not talking about J6 and not about climate change, and then instead ask real questions like what we're going through right now. It sucks. It all sucks. Both candidates are too old, in my opinion. Yes, but I do think that Trump is the better option. So despite me, being a, Trump supporter, I guess you can say, I do feel like I disagree with some of the things that Trump is for, but I think he is a better option. I mean, come on. Okay, so if anybody is willing to, in the comments, let me know who did you vote for in 2020, if you did vote, versus who do you plan on voting for in 2024? And if you want to, you can tell me why or why not. I think that that's interesting. Because in 2020, I felt like Trump was going to win, like honestly. And I felt like my vote mattered and it counted, and that this was before like the whole stolen election. Because after that, I got so discouraged because I felt like the vice president could have used his power, like I said before. And then he didn't do anything about it. So I felt like, oh, this is just ridiculous. I think Trump was listening to people that he should have just did what his gut told him to do. But instead he listens to other people. I don't know. This is just like my opinion. But yeah, after that, I was like, you see, you should have done something about it right there and then. But nothing was done, and he had to leave. And, now Biden is the president. Is like 4 years of a slow death. You know what I mean? Like, this is horrible. Climate changes is a lie. I agree with that. I don't really believe in climate change in the way that they want to present climate change as an issue for us. I don't really believe in that. But I'm not too deep in the conspiracy like that. I'm just saying, like, that's just not an issue that I'm willing to like listen through with this crap. Like, they could have saved so much time with that. There's so many other issues that they could have deep dived into. Did Donald mention his running mate? Trump seems more alert than Biden. Yeah, he didn't yet. I don't think he has announced yet. I don't think so. Okay, so that I just lowered that just a little bit. Mr. M, I stopped voting years ago because I know it is staged. I know how you feel, but at the same time, I do think that our vote matters.
We're going to begin with you, President
Okay,
Biden. You have
we're
3
back on.
minutes.
Hopefully, I can sit through this because I
We've
am
made
like
significant progress.
getting tired of
The
this.
debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term. We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience or anyone out watching this debate.
Oh, I just saw this comment. Sorry. I'm politically in the middle, by the way.
Nobody
Okay.
$400,000
Interesting.
single penny
So who would you be
increase in
voting for
taxes.
if you're a
If
centralist?
I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare to
Third time he stutters.
the ability
Oh,
to,
fourth
for
time.
us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available.
If these
to
are final
every
thoughts, I hope
senior
Donald thanks the sponsors
all
because
along
Joe
that's happening
didn't.
now, and
Okay.
everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credits.
I vote Yeshua.
We're going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke.
Joe would know how much meds cost because he is on so many.
They couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again,
Yeshua all the way. And I just added a banner. Christ is King.
3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history.
Preach.
The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like, even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can
Do you
go
think
and you can
Biden
get something.
has
You
an
sign a
earpiece
document, they've been
in?
trying to get
I
it
don't know,
for
maybe, because he
42
sounds like he's
years.
reading
But you know what we did for
sometimes.
the military
Or maybe
was
he
we got a
memorized it,
choice for our
you know,
soldiers,
like,
where our soldiers, instead
I
of
don't know.
waiting for 3 months
I
to
feel
see
like
a
Trump is
doctor,
more like
can go out and get
speaking his
themselves
mind.
fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President Trump, President Biden. Stay with us because we
How about
more
Ruby for
analysis about
president?
this debate. Anderson Cooper and
Hell
Kamala Harris
no.
starts now on.
Oh my God, did they just end the stream? Is it finished? Wow. Yeah, it finished. Uh-oh. Let me see what's going on.
situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for a insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you, President Trump.
We have the greatest economy in the history of our
Oh,
country.
I think that's it. Did it
We
finish?
have never done so well.
We had an economy that was in free fall.
Involves elected officials. It involves
Oh, I
fundraisers. And
did.
they're having conversations about the president's performance, which they think was dismal, which they think will hurt other people down the party in
Okay.
the ticket.
I
and
think
they're
it did,
having
guys.
Conversations about what they should do about it. Some of those
Isaiah
conversations
9:16.
include, should we go to the White House and ask the
I'm gonna have
president
to look
step
that up.
aside?
Hold on.
Other of the conversations are about, should prominent Democrats go public with that call because they feel this debate was so terrible. They do say in moments in the debate later, the president got better and got his footing, but then at the end, even his closing statement was a little halting. The contrast between the two candidates. Let me be clear. None of them, and a lot of Republicans, don't think Donald Trump had a great night. Donald Trump broke the fact-check machine more than I can count tonight. That will be on the record as we go forward. He refused to answer some very specific and direct questions about his conduct, about January 6th and what all. So that will be dealt with out there.
Okay. So Isaiah 9:16. Thanks for sharing, Mr. M. I'll just read it really quickly. Therefore, God will have no joy in their young men, nor mercy on their orphans and widows. For all of them are lawless and evil. Every mouth speaks injustices. For all this, his anger is not turned away, but his hand is still uplifted. Nice. Okay. That's a nice scripture. Thanks for sharing that. Just read it really quickly. Okay, Jennifer says, I think it's over. Yeah, I think it is. Oh my God, thank God. Okay, so last thoughts. Who do you think won the debate? Who would you be voting for? Whoops, I just muted myself. I think that Trump definitely won, and I think I'm going to be voting for him. So, scared? Scared about what? That guy? All right, guys. Well, I think that was amazing. That was a great, I think it was okay. You know what I mean? Anyways, I am going to, I guess, end the stream here. If anybody sees this in the future, you can definitely let me know in the comments your political leanings, any opinions that you would like to share with me. It can be open for discussion, maybe on another stream. If you have any questions, you can definitely comment that. And yeah, you can let me know who you're voting for or whatever. This series is going to be every Tuesday, I believe, the XJW Political Corner. So I'm pretty excited for it. So this coming Tuesday, I'm going to have Chaka on for the UK elections that are coming up. So that stream is already set up. You can put notifications on in the live tab. And I don't really know that much about that. So I'm going to let Chaka really explain to us everything. And I'm going to be asking him questions. And I hope that more people will get more involved. If you are from a different country and you would like to talk about your political stuff, I am totally interested. Let me know. Let's see. K. Fred says, bye. San Diego. I'd say 60% to 40% in favor of Trump, not registered to vote. What are you waiting for, San Diego? Please register to vote, and please check if you have closed primaries in your state. Where are you from? Let me know. Maybe this is something I can help you with. I would love for you to register. I would love for you to vote. Come on. Would you be voting? Are you open to that? You already know, I'm way too interested in politics and stuff. Oh my God. Adrian, good job, Ruby. Well, thanks. I mean, this is just, this is just the first time. You know what I mean? Well, we will see for future elections if I'm still around here on YouTube and I haven't been canceled yet. Thrifty Treasure says, have a good night. Hope your migraine goes away, Ruby. Thanks for sharing. Yes, I took 2 Tylenols, so hopefully it does. Shaq says, thanks, Ruby. No, thank you guys. You guys spent this time with me. Night from AU. I knew that would get you. What did this thing say? Bro, come on. Don't be like that. Don't be in the whole stream and then say, oh, I'm not registered to vote. Come on. If you're American, please register to vote. Stop being a fool and register to vote. Come on. Sand, don't make Ruby flip her wig. guys, I am going to show you the new wigs that I have for this new series. And I'm going to do a poll if you want the blonde Ruby or do you want the brown ombre wig. So I have them coming in the mail first week of July, but I'm going to show you a picture of what the wig looks like. And I'll post it into the community section because I want you guys to vote to see what kind of alter ego do you want to see for this political series. Oh my God. Jennifer, thanks for hosting. Have a great evening, everyone. Okay, guys, have a great evening. Thank you for spending time with me and giving me your political opinions. If you want to talk privately, I think I have my email in my bio. So hopefully you guys can find that. You can email me, and I'm also going to always share this Discord link because I am always on there playing games. Let me see. Where's the damn thing? Okay. Invite. Copy. Okay. Okay. If you want to text me or talk or do anything, you can join that Discord, and I have my own little channel on that server. You will see my name, Ruby Quinn, and we can discuss everything on there. Oh my God. I can't believe I forgot to share this live stream on Discord. What is wrong with me? If you guys are subscribed to me, please put your notifications on because I usually share this stuff with my Discord family so that they can join. They can join me. Like, what the heck? I am still new at this, guys. I'm sorry. I'm still an amateur. So I usually share my live streams and my things on Discord. So please join there and we can play games on there as well. I'm usually on there every night. And now I only stay there from like 11 p.m. to midnight. So, I'm a little addicted. Okay, what else? Okay, last announcement. I'm sorry. Sorry for keeping you here for so long. July 4th stream. I am going to be doing a stream on July 4th. If you want to join as well, I will always include the stream links for the public to join me. I am going to be talking about patriotism. I'm going to be talking about how do you celebrate July 4th. I am going to be talking about everything that has to do with Independence Day. I think that, being a homeschooling mom really helped me on educating myself more on this because I'm also teaching my kids about this. So that could be a more like, family discussion. It can be just, talking about America, how you love being American, what it means to be American. And also for us XJWs, like, we've never had to really display that patriotism or know how to be patriotic. And we've had to learn that, to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance and not say the pledge, you know what I mean? So now that we can stand up and actually pledge, I want to talk about those things. So if you have any stories or if you are open enough to talk about, being American and what you love about being American, definitely come on. If you have any opposing views, I still want you on the stream. I still want to have this open discussion. If you don't like America or you don't like being American or you have any other opposing views, I am all for them. Okay, this is a safe space for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, especially. Even if you're not, you can still join. So I just wanted to give that announcement. Hi to all flat earthers. Okay, Mr. M. We're all new, Ruby, and you're doing great. I would never be such. Yeah, for real. Oh, thank you, Santiago. I appreciate that because I know that I have a lot of mixed opinions about starting this. And people have been commenting to me being like, oh, you should stay away from these topics or don't go there, don't talk about politics. And I feel like I'm no longer restricted. I'm not restricting myself. And I also want to give that freedom of thought and freedom of expression in our community. And I would love for more Extra W's, especially YouTubers or anybody in the community, to feel open enough to join, because you already know that I am not going to judge and I'm going to ask legit questions on what you believe in and why you believe in that. And I would want the same thing to be given to me. You can ask me questions. You can, you know what I mean? Like, I'm totally open to these things now. So I hope that you enjoyed this. Next Tuesday, I will see you, and I will see you for July 4th. And that's also my daughter's birthday. So I have a patriotic womb. I gave birth on July 4th. So I'm only going to be there for a little bit, and then we're going to do birthday stuff. So happy birthday to America and happy birthday to my daughter. Okay, guys, I'm going to end the stream and I'm going to stop talking because we've been here for a long time. I'm so sorry. All right. Thank you for spending time with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.